If you've been on the internet recently, you'll know that every anime fan's worst nightmare can happen soon. If you're an anime fan, there's always been this concern that anime could be banned in America. We all know anime has lewd content, but if you speak concerns about being banned, people will simply brush off concerns and say, actually, the Supreme Court ruled anything banning cartoons and calling it too sexual to be unconstitutional. So there was never really much of a discussion about it. Well, that could be changing soon. The Texas Senate just passed Bill 20 that states having possession of anything lewd that shows a person that looks to be under 18, regardless if that person is a cartoon or not, will be illegal, and you could go to prison for it. This also includes promoting something of that sort or watching something of that sort. So watching anime, having anime Blu-rays and manga, and even promoting these TV series is illegal. It applies not just to cartoons, but video games as well. I want to state a few key points. Keep in mind, it clearly states any character that appears to be under 18. It doesn't matter if the character is 100 years old. If she looks under 18, you are in trouble. Another key point that people are forgetting is that it states any character under 18. I don't know why people are celebrating this. They're saying, yes, we got rid of the lollies. You do know this doesn't just apply to lollies, right? The majority of anime series have characters that are in high school. It's rare to see a cast of characters that are in their 20s or 30s. To this, people will say, as long as it isn't lewd, series such as My Hero Academia is safe. The way this is being approached is very vague. It could mean lewd as in hentai, or lewd as in big breasts or fan service. You can't deny some of these characters in My Hero Academia were shown in a lewd way. Definitely Momo. Some people will say, it's just big breasts and cleavage. That may not be a big deal to you, but to other people, especially politicians, they see it differently. People argue this only applies to hentai, but this bill did not make that clear. If they wanted to be reasonable, they could have said, in regards to cartoons, only hentai is considered illegal. But if they wanted to be reasonable in the first place, they would have simply said, cartoons will not be included in this bill. Instead, they left it up to vague interpretation. They're doing this for a reason. It doesn't take much effort to make it clear. They kept it very vague, which gives them power within their own judgment to say what's considered lewd. Why do they make an effort to make sure the words cartoon and animation are included in this bill? It feels like this is their way of saying, this will not be allowed in any situation, no exceptions. You can't just say it's fictional. So, if you don't know anything about High School DxD, and never researched anything about it, how old do you think Rias is, just from looking at her? It's very subjective. And even if you can get away with Rias, there are still different characters in that show that look younger than Rias, so you're still going to get in trouble. So, if you have a Blu-ray, manga, or even a figure from High School DxD, No Game No Life, My Dress Up Darling, or even My Hero Academia, you're in big trouble if you live in Texas. The big question about this is how would this even be enforced? They could probably easily find out if you've been watching anime. In terms of manga and Blu-rays, people could easily find that out as well. Just look at what the UK did to people in the past. America could do the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas banned Crunchyroll from its state. Some people will say, I don't live in Texas, I'm perfectly fine. You really don't think this will spread to other states? It definitely will. Just like how certain states now are making it difficult to watch popular adult websites, it will spread to other states. They will see it as permission to follow in their footsteps. The politicians are united on this issue. You can't just say it is a Republican thing, because the Democrats in Texas went along with it, and didn't even fight it. It's very obvious. They're grossed out when they see anime characters looking too lewd. They don't care if it's fictional. It's still wrong to them. This type of mentality is very common in America. There will be no pushback or backlash against this. Even if you speak out against this, people will simply say, ew, you like lollies. They're not smart enough to realize this doesn't just include lolly characters. It includes the majority of anime characters. I really do hope I'm wrong about all this, and somehow this bill ends up being rejected. However, it already passed the Senate, so now it's going to the Texas House of Representatives, and then the governor has to sign it. I hope the Supreme Court steps in, but there's no guarantee that will happen. Also, the Supreme Court is different than how it was back then. It could just go against a decision made by the Supreme Court earlier. Even after all this news, there will be people that will still say, this is just fear-mongering. However, Who could have ever expected popular adult websites not being shown in many states? It wasn't banned, but politicians essentially forced them to stop showing that content in those states. After all, nobody's gonna upload their ID to an adult website. America is different now. There is more of a negative perception against anything sexual. We are becoming more reserved overall. I know some people will say, well, there are women that make a living off of showing their body. Give it some time. I'm sure over time, even that will be difficult to do. People are becoming more aware of those things. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if something is done against it. This overall could have a wide effect. If this becomes a nationwide thing, even talking about anime series online could be risky because you are promoting it in a way. We obviously aren't Crunchyroll, but by definition, promoting something means encouraging someone to like, buy, or support something, which you can argue anime YouTubers are doing. The anime community will be gone, and everyone will either talk about video games or become a commentary channel instead.